So the Necron Tomb Blades, you get them for $55 in the US or £32.50 in the UK. Now you're going to get a unit of 3 bikes within that box. Now alternatively, you can get them in the Combat Patrol box, which is $150 or £90. You get a lot more models in that, and they're always worth it in value, so check out those bigger boxes if you haven't already. So the Tomb Blades, they're a fast attack option from our Necron Codex. They've of course got the core keyword. Now you're going to be paying 20 points per bike, and there will be some upgrading options when we get onto the War Gear section. Now what's great about these bikes is they move 14 inches, which is a hefty amount. Not many Necron units can move that quickly. And don't forget that these guys can also fly with that 14-inch range. So they're going over terrain, they're going over enemy models. Now they do have an ability which is Invasion Engrams, which is a -1 to hit them because they're going so fast, of course. So even though they don't have an invulnerable save, it does give them a little bit of survivability, that -1 to hit. Although there is a lot of +1 to hit modifiers in the game at present. Now as for their actual loadouts, there's 3 different options here. The first one is the Particle Beamers, which are 18-inch range, Assault 6, Strength 5, no AP and only 1 damage. So you're not getting as much range and you're not getting the AP, and you're also not getting the Exploding 6s because they're not Tesla either. But that is a free option if you wanted to take that. So if you wanted to pay some points to get better weapons for your Tomb Blades, well, you've got 2 options here. So first of all, you've got the Twin Gorse Blasters. It's going to cost you 5 points, but the range is now 30-inch range as opposed to 18. The Rapid Fire 2, so within 15-inch range, you're going to be getting twice as many shots per bite. They're Strength 5 again, but this time -2 AP and 1 damage. You're getting the extra range and the AP on top of it for just 5 points. Now alternatively, you can spend 5 points on the Twin Tesla Carbines. Only 24-inch range this time, Assault 4, so you're guaranteed your 4 shots regardless of what range you are to the enemy units. And also being Assault means you can actually advance with these and still fire at a -1 to hit penalty. But Assault 4, Strength 5, no AP, 1 damage, but the 6s will score 2 additional hits. So mathematically, it's almost like having Ballistic Skill 1. Although dice are dice at the end of the day, you could miss every single one of those rolls, you could get a load of 6s. Now we've got to mention some of the stratagems that are associated with these weapons. The first is the Disintegrator Capacitor stratagem for 1 command point. When you make an attack with a Gorse weapon, an unmodified roll of a 6 will automatically wound. So when you've got a max unit of 9 of these guys firing 4 shots each, that's a lot of dice and potentially a lot of 6s there. Now if you are taking the Tesla option, the Malevolent Arcing stratagem is not too bad for throwing out additional mortal wounds to an enemy target and enemy units nearby that target as well. Now the Tomb Blades have a more unique stratagem towards their unit, which is the Fractal Targeting stratagem for 1 command point, and it turns those Twin Gorse Blaster rapid fire weapons into assault weapons, although there will be Assault 2, so even if you're at half range, you've effectively lost 2 shots there because you're only getting 2 shots per bite with this. But the reason for this is the second bullet point in this stratagem, is you can actually advance and still fire your weapons without any -1 to hit penalties. So you're moving 14 inches, then you're doing your advanced move on top of that, and then still firing 2 shots per bike as standard. But for me, this one's a little bit of a waste of a command point. They're going quick enough in my opinion, they don't need the extra advanced move. Now onto some of the additional war gear that the Tomb Blades can take. First of all, we've got the Nebula Scope. This is going to cost you 3 points per model, and enemy units that are targeted by the model cannot use light cover. So the last thing you want to be doing is shooting at your Twin Gorse Blasters at Terminator models that are within a terrain feature. They've already got the Armour of Contempt on, and then having the cover save as well basically ignores our Gorse weapons, but at least with the Nebula Scope you ignore one of those modifiers. Next one is the Shadow Loom, which is also 3 points, and it gives the model a 5+ invulnerable save. Now you don't need to put this on all the models, maybe you just want to put it on 1 or 2 just to tank some harder hitting shots. Then the third option is the Shield Veins, also 3 points, and instead of having an armor value of a 4+, it goes up to a 3+. Which I kind of think it should start on a 3+ if I'm honest with you, but it is what it is, they're starting on a 4, you can pay to get it to a 3 if you wanted to. Now in terms of Dynasty codes, what's going to be useful for the Tomb Blades? Well, the Mephric code of course, getting an extra 3 inch to your range, as well as if you're firing at half range you get the extra AP, not too bad if you're playing the Mephric Dynasty, but what's so great about the Mephric Dynasty is their stratagem, Talent for Annihilation. It's 1 command point, and any unmodified wound rolls of a 6 will inflict a mortal wound. Now this is capped at 3 mortal wounds unfortunately, but if you've got a full unit of Tomb Blades, you're likely going to be maxing this out and scoring 3 mortal wounds there. Another dynasty that's worth a look with the Tomb Blades is the Siltec Dynasty. They're going to be making use of those rapid fire weapons, so instead of it being a 15-inch range, it's going to be an 18-inch range rapid fire range, which means they don't need to get too close to enemy units because at the end of the day, they don't really want to be getting caught in melee, they are a shooting unit. Or alternatively, the Nihilak Dynasty with objectives secured. Go with a min unit of 3 of these Tomb Blades, go up, steal an objective so that your opponent is not going to score that objective on their turn, Okay, you will sacrifice your Tomb Blades, but for 60 points, denying victory points to your opponent might not be a bad idea, especially if you've got Treasures of Aeons on top of that. You're going to be scoring in your own turn as well. Now, speaking of secondary objectives, they're not too bad for ancient machineries, getting those far distant objectives that are going to take a little bit longer to get, because of course they've got that movement to be getting across the battlefield. Unit synergy wise, you've got a few options here. The Catacomb Command Barge for the My Will Be Done. It's one of the few units that can keep up with the Tomb Blades just about. Also, the Silent King can throw out his buffs. Silent King's got loads of stuff that are going to work well with a core unit. So overall, this is a very cheap unit if you take them as a minimum unit of 3, but unfortunately they're in a highly competitive battlefield role, which is the fast attacks. You've got the Canoptic Wraiths, the Canoptic Scarabs in particular, which in my opinion both of those offer more when it comes to stealing objectives and doing Treasure of Aeons and Ancient Machineries. Also, Tomb Blades are not going to be relying on their melee defense, so unless you're using the Protocol of Conquering Tyrant to be able to fall back and still fire your weapons, if they do get caught in melee, that's definitely not going to be a good thing when you compare them to, say, Canoptic Wraiths, again, Canoptic Scarabs. But if you do play a shooty Necron dynasty, then the Tomb Blades are definitely a very good valid option. They're only 4 points more than a Necron Immortal, but for the Planet 40k rating today, I'm going to be giving the Tomb Blades a 3 out of 5 star rating.